Hey, this is Patrice Davis. I am of Ready, Set, Go Consult, and today I'm going to talk about the different ways that you can earn money as a consultant. So, for those of you who are new to the field of consulting, and when I'm talking about consulting, I am talking about freelance consulting, being an independent consultant, not necessarily a management consultant or management advisory consultant with one of the huge consulting firms around the world. So we know, and you guys have heard me mention before, the big four. And so the big four are PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG, Ernst and Young. I forgot what the fourth one is. It used to be the big eight. Then I believe it was the big six. Then it became the big four. So of course, those are just the big four, big five, six, or eight, but there are many, many, many large consulting firms that provide services. They have a global footprint that provide a number of services, and they typically have teams and teams and teams of management consultants that come in and do a wide range of provide a wide range of services depending on what the specialty is or specialties are of the firm, and the specialties, of course, of the management consultant. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about the ways that you, as an independent or freelance consultant, can earn money outside of providing services. So let's talk a bit about services. So when we talk about consulting services, we're talking about the services or solutions, as I like to call them, that your firm, your independent firm, has created or crafted based on a number of factors. One of them, and probably the most important, is based on what the market demands, because we are not going to be creating services based on what we like, based on what we feel comfortable with, based on what we think people want. We're going to create services based on what the market demands. So those services are typically delivered in a number of ways. So it could be a tangible report. Maybe you are preparing consulting reports about a specific area that you specialize in. Maybe you specialize in market research for companies who want to enter a new country, or maybe you specialize in analyzing, K to 12 curricula, and so maybe you prepare reports as a part of that service. And so the deliverable is the actual service, the actual report that you prepare. Now, a report is just a report. Obviously, there's some engagement that happens before you prepare that report. There's likely engagement that happens during the preparation or as you're gathering additional information, and there's likely engagement that happens after you've delivered the report. I call it in our company a post-report meeting. So we typically we have a number of services, about 6 core services, and one of them or two of them actually involves the creation of a report. And so the client is paying us to prepare a certain kind of report. And so there's some engagement that happens before, during, and then after. And I call that internally a post-report meeting. So that's an example of a service that you provide to a company. Another service you may provide is management consulting, where companies pay you they basically secure time on your schedule to be able to, I use the word pick your brain. That is really not it. It's a lot more than that, but really to be able to tap into your expertise, into your knowledge. You are able to have, in-depth conversations with them about a challenge they may be experiencing, but because of your expertise, you're able to provide them with really great insight. You're able to maybe bring research to the table, more current research to the table, maybe share best practices with them based on your knowledge and expertise, and just, really help them understand the challenge they may be facing, or their goal that they're trying to reach by sharing the knowledge. And so these are, basically phone calls or Zoom meetings, where you are actually sharing that expertise. That's management consulting. Other services are a little bit more hands-on. Our services are a little bit more hands-on, and we're shifting towards less hands-on services. But I just wanted to make sure that we talked a little bit about the services that an independent consultant typically provides. There are other services. And so Now we're going to talk about other ways that you can earn money in your consulting business that is not necessarily service delivery. One of them may still be service delivery, but that one to me, I think can be both. So let's go ahead and talk about the first one. So the first one, which I don't think is going to be a surprise to anyone, is being paid to speaking at conferences, speaking at different other types of industry events, speaking, writing retreats. I've actually, been compensated to speak at a writing retreat. So those are examples of you being able to actually speak about a topic. Maybe you are one of the lead speakers or again at a conference, and so that's one of the ways that you can actually, of course, get compensated. And I'm new to this. I've done this a number of times, but and actually was compensated very, very well last year, 5 figures for one particular speaking event. Some people get 6 figures, right? But I was happy with my 5-figure speaking engagement. The point I'm making is this is something that's new, so I'm learning, and as a matter of fact, this is something I want to increase because this is something that I believe has a number of benefits, and my goal is to maximize those benefits. I'm an entrepreneur. You are either an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, so I'm sure you can understand why one would want to maximize all the benefits that you can get from being compensated to speak, right? So this is something that I am, actually intentionally and actively pursuing. So I just want to give you guys one example. The second example, this is the one where it could actually qualify as both a service or something outside, not necessarily a service, a whole separate, offering that your company provides. So, and that other category is training. So I'm not going to go into a lot of details about the way that we integrate training into our existing services, but I can talk a little bit about how we offer training as an additional source of revenue. So there are a number of ways that you can actually offer training as additional source of revenue. Number of ways to do that. Number one, of course, you can package your knowledge into online courses. None of that is a surprise to you. Package it into online courses so that people can take them on demand. Asynchronous training. And so just want to make, obviously, in order to do that, you need to be able to find a tool to deliver the training, really in a really well-designed and easy to use kind of way. And then you also need to make sure, and a lot of times people say, go ahead and create a course. Creating a course is a lot of work. So for those of you out there that are thinking about it, just give yourself a minimum of 6 weeks to create a course. And let me first say that, yes, I was going to try to explain that, but no, 6 months, because not only are you creating the training, right? You're creating the, the additional resources that come with the training. There may need to be some editing. And then, that's just the content. Now there are all these associated things that you need to make sure are in place so that the content is delivered in a smooth and streamlined way. There's a lot of communication that you need to go ahead and write ahead of time so that at different times and in different prompts, there's certain kind of communication that's going out to the people that register for your course. And depending on how you market it, there are going to be, and that's probably the part that people don't talk a lot about, is what it actually takes to market your course. Now, maybe you're in a community, you already have a community of people who are very interested. You may be very engaged with them, maybe on a Facebook group or in some other, let's call it some other container. And if you already have that, then marketing that course probably won't be as challenging. But if you don't, and you're building your audience, or maybe you have a completely different audience, maybe your audience knows you from one space or one industry or one specialty, and you actually decided to develop a course on something that's related, but you don't quite have that audience. I just want to make sure you're as prepared as possible for what it takes to be able to make that transition to be able to build that audience and actually, not just build the audience, but also build the customer base, right? We're not just interested in audiences, right? That's important, but you also want to, of course, build the customer base, because that is, of course, the reason why you develop the course. So that's one of the ways that training can be an additional source of funding. The second way is, of course, in-person training, which is different from speaking, slightly different. In-person training, where you are actually developing training content to teach an audience about something that you specialize in. I've done that as well, and I continue to do that, and I really enjoy doing that because, for obvious reasons, everybody likes to be able to share the knowledge where possible, um, and where possible and where it makes sense to share that knowledge, so that there are a lot of good benefits to that as well, because being able to share and demonstrate your expertise is always a great opportunity to attract even more business to your consulting business. So just wanted to throw that out there. In-person training, and then of course there's, you can actually develop customized training for your clients. So that's where it kind of blends into and kind of merges into being a service, right? A service that you're delivering for your client. Other ways that you can provide training. So I'll kind of leave that there as it relates to training. And the other way that you can actually earn money as a consultant, of course, is writing. And it depends on just how much writing you do. It depends on where you're actually, sharing the written word, whatever it is you're sharing. Now, writing can include a number of things. It could be, of course, writing a guidebook. That would be something that you could actually sell, either from your website or maybe on Amazon or some other place where you have a market. There is an existing marketplace, and you can actually have a book that you can use to, again, sell to a specific subsegment of that marketplace. So absolutely writing a book that is related, like a technical, book that's related to the work that you do. You could also write a general book, a book about, you know, again, something maybe a little bit wider in terms of talk. Maybe it's a book about you and your life. Maybe, and somehow it's related to the work that you do as a consultant. And so, you can also take that path as an author. You could also, and I haven't done this, I've tried to do this, but quite frankly, this is one of those things where it's best to have your team kind of lined up to be able to do this and do this for you on a consistent basis. So I have always written a blog, no matter what business venture I was trying, as in the case of Sea Currents. I've told you guys about Sea Currents before. That's because that's something I hope to relaunch and resume very soon. It's Sea Currents, SEECURRENTS. It's a website about, I like to call it, well, I won't use that word because I don't want to, but it's basically a listing website of things to do on islands around the world, culturally relevant, culturally immersive things to do on islands around the world. And sometimes, local restaurants, local boutique hotels, literary festivals on islands around the world, marathons on islands around the world. So that is something I started years and years ago, and I wrote quite a few blogs and guides on that website. I, of course, have blogs and guides on the Grantsworth website, my consulting business, and of course, I have blogs and guides on the Ready, Set, Go Consult website. So always writing. And some of that writing is really, really critical, and really some of that writing is, I really could be maximizing, earning potential from some of that writing on certain publishing platforms. So just want to make sure, hey there, let me see who's that. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. I decided to, I didn't do much to promote this particular live today, so I'm so glad that you showed up. And so nice to see you. If you can drop in the chat, let me know who you are. Just kind of have you see, I see you out there. But I do want to go ahead and reiterate those other things that I mentioned that you can actually do in your consulting business to earn additional money. That's money outside how we learn and grow daily. Okay, and that is in those areas that we talked about, that I mentioned before, outside of services, of course, are speaking, right, where you are actually paid to speak at conferences, training, and that you can, of course, do that in a number of ways. As I mentioned before, you can develop an online course that you can actually sell on your website. But as I mentioned before, whenever you hear people telling you to develop an online course, please know that it's not as easy as one would think. It really is going to be a minimum, at least in my opinion, a 6 month. Really, it's going to take about 6 months to actually develop the course, develop all the materials that go with the course. Make sure you find the right course delivery application, and then you need to populate the portals and various areas of the course delivery application so that information is actually going out to the people who register for your course at the times that you determine. And there's a lot of writing, a lot of editing, just a lot of curation of information, outside of the course itself, outside of the training content. So that's one of the ways. The second way, of course, is to develop customized training. And that's one of the ways I said that you can actually probably see that as a service, but you could develop customized training, or you can deliver in-person training, which is sort of like speaking, but it's truly training because you're going in, you've created, your slide deck, you outlined exactly what you plan on teaching the audience, you have your learning objectives, and depending on what you've done to make sure that you are actually considered, an approved education provider in your field, there's certain times that training that you offer could be considered for continuing education credits. So that's one of the things I highly recommend for those of you who are listening to me. If you are in whatever field you're in, I highly recommend looking into the different associations and industry associations that are relevant to your field. Find out what it takes to become an approved education provider in your field, and move forward, and see what you can do to. That would be a real. That's just want to make sure you're aware of that. And then we also talked about either writing a technical guide that you can sell at industry events online. There may be certain websites that are specific to your industry where you can actually promote your book. If it's a really, really good, strong technical guide, you can self-publish that, or maybe go the more traditional route, or write another type of book, right? A book maybe about you and how, how your past experience, your professional experience lets you be in a consultant, just to kind of tie it into your work as a consultant. And so another way that you can actually make money as a consultant, and this is sort of providing services, but I see it outside of your core service offerings, and is actually going into joint ventures with other entities. You guys have heard me talking about collaboration a lot, and that's because I truly believe in it. And I do believe, especially when you are a new consultant, and you've heard me recommend this a number of times, maybe on the Ready, Set, Go Consult blog, or maybe in other areas, you've heard me recommend that when you are starting out as a consultant, it's really great that you find a dependable consultant that may already have a foothold in the industry you want to get into, that has a great reputation, that is open to collaborating, open to a fair collaboration, and is willing to work with you and partner with you on, your first project. Now, obviously, when you do that, you need to be just as dependable. You need to be, obviously, do the best that you can, because what you're doing is you're developing your own reputation. One of the things that I have shared before, and I'm going to share it again, is that you must protect your reputation as a business owner. We know that once you do something wrong, and the word gets out there, it can really, really crush your reputation. It takes a lot to build up from that. So just want to make sure that you are really, making sure that you're choosing your collaborative partners wisely. I don't care if it's a friend or if it's a cousin. I don't care who it is. Make sure you are actually, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, as opposed, if you're going to be partnering with an organization. But I mention that because sometimes a joint partnership on a different kind of project or a different kind of service that you typically offer is another way that you can make money as a consultant. There are several other ways. People approach me. I would say probably at least 2 times a month, I am approached by different types of organizations. I'm talking about established organizations. I'm not talking about spam. I get a lot of spam, but established organizations that would like for my company to partner with them. So I'm on a couple of advisory boards, and I am. So as a result, I think that just kind of the number of things that we do helps to get my company name out there, and as a result, that invites opportunities. So for those of you who are sitting on the fence about launching your consulting business, or you kind of in and you kind of out, you're still trying to dilly dally and figure things out. I highly recommend that you take the dive, get it done, actually go ahead and start serving clients. Maybe you've served 1 or 2 or 3 and you really want to make it get work consistently. There is nothing like action to actually, help you, achieve your goal. We know that. And not just the action to achieve the goal of having, a consistent, a business that's actually earning you consistent revenue, but also those other opportunities that I was mentioning to you. So I've only given you 4 of the other ways that you can make money outside of offering services. And for those of you who didn't hear the first part of this live, I really wanted to make sure I made a difference. I differentiated between the services your consulting company offers versus these other ways that you can make money, which is, again, training, speaking, writing, and then, of course, a joint venture on a different kind of project, right? That's outside of the services that you offer. There are other ways. So I'm going to see if you have any questions. Y'all can drop any questions in the chat and say, hey, this opportunity came to me. What do you think? Or any questions you have about your consulting business, either one that you are starting or one that you have now. Know that every time you join me live, it's an opportunity to ask me questions. I'm here to answer anything that you'd like. So if you have any questions, now's the opportunity. It could even be related to something, something that I may have shared in another video, and you just want to go ahead and pick my brain, assuming I have the answer. My goal is to answer it as best as I can. But yeah, drop any questions. If not, I'm going to just wait like a couple of seconds to see if you have anything for me. If not, this is the first, as you all probably know, last week I could not do that live. And the reason I couldn't do the live, and you all know that I'm here at 7 o'clock every Thursday, I couldn't do that last week because a client actually reached out and asked me to come and speak at a conference. I'm starting out my HR consulting, but is YouTube a great place to market my business? Yes, it is, but let's talk a little bit more about that. So to quickly let you all know, yes, a client reached out. So when a client reaches out to you and says, I would like to introduce you to my audience, I would like to, I trust you. I trust the work that you provide to our company. I respect you enough to take you and put you in front of my very large audience. That is a huge vote of confidence. And that's where, and I'm very happy about that. And it's something that I take very seriously. I don't take it for granted at all. But that is the reason why I wasn't here last week, because I was out of town, actually coming back into town from that conference. It was a great opportunity, guys, because, and this is part of the reason why I share some of the tips that I have about being a consultant, and I always talk about the different ways that you can attract business. At that conference were some of the top people in my industry, and I was able to have some great conversations with them and followed up this week, and actually invited one of them to come to an event that my company is hosting, and he said yes. So I'm really excited about that. There at the conference were a lot of potential customers. Many of them came up to me after I gave the talk. And then, yeah, so just want to, and then, so this is a great opportunity all around in terms of not just networking, but actually speaking with people who are interested in the services that we have to offer. So just want to make sure I kind of reiterate why it's important to go ahead and get that momentum going so you can track other opportunities. Now, I'm starting out my HR consulting business, but is YouTube a great place to market my business? I'm going to say absolutely yes. It took me a while to think. It took me a while to answer that, but here's why. There are, first of all, already some people on YouTube. I don't know how many. That's not my field, but I know someone that used to share content on LinkedIn, and that person isn't doing it as much anymore. She may be, but you know where her audience blew up? On YouTube. Blew up. Now, she also had a book. I'm not sure if it was the book that came first or the YouTube came first, but right now she has about 200,000, if not more, subscribers to her channel where she talks about HR. Now, she is talking primarily about the recruiting side of HR. So I just want to make sure I make that distinction, because maybe that's not your specialty. Maybe you are a generalist, or maybe you are someone who focuses on retention, or maybe you're maybe you're focused more on the internal communication side. Maybe you've worked in large organizations that actually have whole internal communication folk. I don't know, but whatever your specialty is, that's something to consider. You mind letting me know what your specialty is in HR? What is the specialty in HR that you have that you plan on offering services as a consultant? I would love to know that. So I'm going to wait for you to drop that in the chat, because that's important to know. Any other questions? I see someone else here. Maybe there's another question you have. I can certainly see if I can answer while we wait for How We Learn and Grow Daily to let me know what his or her specialty is. Okay, developing a digital product on business consulting. Well, so digital product, a lot of things could be a digital product, as you know. So you have to provide me some more details on that now, and also about business consulting, also extremely wide. So if you can provide me more information, wow, that's surprising. My specialty would be process development, employee relations. Okay, okay. Tell me what's so surprising. Process development and employee, man, that would be great. That sounds like what they call it, organizational. I can't think of the proper term, but that person, process development and employee relations. So on YouTube, I'm not sure if YouTube. I think that the person, the reason obviously that person resonates is because she's speaking to two different audiences. The person that I just mentioned that works in HR consulting, I'm assuming she's an HR consultant. The reason, obviously, why she does so well is just because she has two audiences. Number one, primarily the recruitees, the people who are looking for jobs, and she has a very bold, approach, or a very bold position on the ways that companies make people jump through hoops to get jobs. And so she goes at it. She continuously talks about it because it's probably something that she feels really strongly about. And she knows, of course, that it resonates with those people who are looking for jobs. Now, her other audience may be, companies, where she could be advising those companies on ways to not make their application and recruitment process so darn arduous. Y'all know what it's like. Why we got to go through 5 interviews to get a job? That's a lot. I remember one time, I've had a couple of interesting job interviews, and that's why I have my own business now. Okay, wow. She said, it's surprising that the HR consultants marketing would do better on YouTube versus LinkedIn. Now, remember, she had a book. So here's the thing. Thing about YouTube is that, as you know, it is one of the, maybe the second strongest, let's call it, search engine. YouTube is truly like a search engine, and the results just happen to be videos. And so think about all the things that you watch to learn about on YouTube. So, probably shouldn't be surprised about that. The thing with LinkedIn, which is fantastic, I use LinkedIn. She may be using both. I'm not suggesting it's YouTube or LinkedIn. She's probably more than likely using both. But I do know that number one, she had a book, and then after spending quite a bit of time on LinkedIn, she then expanded to YouTube. Remember, her audience are the recruitees, and more than likely, she's engaging with people that actually hire her as a consultant on LinkedIn, right? So the businesses would be hiring her on LinkedIn, from LinkedIn, and she would be getting their attention there, and maybe even from YouTube as well. But if she's trying to sell her book or get an audience for, it definitely the recruitees, it would more than likely be YouTube because, again, broader audience. So I'm hoping I answered that. Would do better. Yeah. So LinkedIn is fantastic. LinkedIn, to me, based on the little that I know, I use it. I'm okay at using LinkedIn. Definitely would take one of the classes where people are actually teaching you how to maximize your use of LinkedIn. LinkedIn for me is a little bit more targeted and a little bit nuanced. And it's a professional site, so there's certain things about the way one uses LinkedIn that you probably can have a little bit more freedom, flexibility on YouTube. It makes sense. Businesses may hire her from LinkedIn. Yeah, exactly. So her B2B stuff is all on LinkedIn because that's where they're seeing her. They know she has a YouTube. They know she has a book. She is building her brand. She has a brand built. And so from LinkedIn is where people are going to notice her, the people that are making decisions about who to hire. But on YouTube, she's selling her book, so that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Thanks for confirming that. So let's go back to your question. I'm gonna go back to you, Yoastra, because you said I'm developing a digital product on business consulting. Again, it really depends on the digital product. And I know you probably just don't want to share that, but if you do want to, I can give I'll give you my ideas about that. It depends on the digital product. And when we say business consulting, it's a very, very wide, category. And so it depends on, I need you to give me a little bit more specifics on both. But let's talk about digital product in general. So selling digital products is absolutely a great way to earn additional money for your business. For example, I have, for my consulting business, a product called, a number of products. I have probably 9 digital products on another website that you guys have probably heard me say. It's called grantsworksacademy.com. If you open up another window, grantsworksacademy.com, I have courses, asynchronous courses, basically on-demand courses that people can log in and learn on their own. There are quizzes. There's a whole machine back there. Then I also have downloadable ebook, one particular downloadable ebook called the Ultimate Government Grant Application Checklist. And I sell that at a certain amount. And when I run reports, I'm pretty pleased with how much of it I'm able to sell every year. I have it on our homepage, the grantsworks.com website. And so that's another way. I'm not going to sneeze at, even if I get $1 from something, I'm not sneezing at that because money's money, right? And it's $1 extra that I did not have just because I developed this book. I developed this book in 2021 and I probably updated it last year to reflect some changes that happened in my industry, and I'm still selling it. So I created it once and I updated. Maybe, like I said, you want to pay attention to make sure that what you have is the most up to date. You spend what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, at least for me, updating this small detail, made the change and put it back out there, and I'm selling it. So digital products are definitely a great way to go. I'm thinking about a software product geared toward, oh man, yes. Yeah. You know what, Yo Astro, I'm right there with you. That's exactly what I'm thinking as well. I know someone who's doing that. And that is basically what we call productized consulting. So one of the things that I have shared in master classes is information that was developed by, I forgot the person's name. I think his name is, I can't remember his name, but basically he's come up with a way to categorize the different types of consulting businesses. So there is solo consulting, which is where most of us start out, right? We're solo consultants. The other one is when you become a firm, and that's when it's you and other people providing services. So it's not just you by yourself anymore. It's either you and contractors or you and staff. And I currently have a firm. Yeah. Okay, exact. I'm on the same page as you. Absolutely, Yo Astro. I'm constantly saying, okay, Patrice, you need to sit down and write down a list of everything that you do, all the knowledge of the things that you do for your clients, to see how you can and actually create like a process flow. Look, I've got a little I'm gonna tell you a little more about what I plan on doing, not exactly what I'm planning on doing, but the process I'm gonna take. And then the third category is a productized consulting business model. And that's what you're talking about, where your product is the solution, right? And we've heard the term before, service as a solution. Actually, I saw an article the other day that said that SaaS is going away. SaaS is no more. I don't believe that. And then the fourth is is a hybrid model where you either have a firm and a product, or a solo consultant and a product. That's called a hybrid model. So those are the four consulting business models per, I think his last name is Zapersky. Now, I'm going to go back to this. So trust and believe. I agree with you, Yo Astro. I'm about to sit down, make a list of everything that I do for a certain service that I provide, probably the most comprehensive service that our company provides, and create a process flow. Go ahead and hire a software developer, a really good one with great experience and expertise in developing whatever that's supposed to look like, and whatever else it takes to go ahead and create something like this, because there's only one of me. Of course, there are other compliance people, in my space, but not many at all. And as a result, we have been getting way more interest in our business than I can even handle at this point, right? And so imagine if I'm able, like you're planning on doing, Yo Astro, is e-learning based model. Okay. I like that. I like that approach. That's probably easier to update, isn't it? Talk to me, Yo Astro. It's probably easier to update it if there's any changes, right? Because now all you got to do is make sure that the LMS, the learning management system, all you got to do is go into the learning management system. Look, I've done it. I've created e-learning for a big client before. You go into the learning management system, sometimes you can even auto update it, because I work with a person who's a top e-learning specialist in the country. And sometimes you can use certain apps to auto update it. So for whatever reason, something changed in your industry and it's big enough that you got to make sure it's changing your e-learning. You can auto update it and boom, it's already updated. Is that what you did? There we go. See, we are on this. There's a reason why you come in here every week. We vibing. We're certainly vibing. I like that. I might take that approach too, though. I think I might take that approach rather than an app. I don't know that much about how to update your apps and what it takes. Do you have to go back to the developer? It seems a little less efficient than what you're thinking, Yo Astro. We're on the same page, man. It is, what time is it? It's 7:39, y'all. I gave y'all what I hope were some good ideas, not the details. Of course, you want the details. You have to register for the membership, the Ready, Set, Go Consult membership. It includes 8 modules, right? Speaking about that, Yo Astro, 8 modules of the actual business accelerator, where we walk you through how to build a strong foundation for your business, marketing, automations, even things like the details of what could be in your proposal, how to build a website that actually does the work for you in some regards. Just a lot of details about that. And then it includes the monthly planning and accountability meetings. We just had the one in February on Monday with some folks, and we learned a lot from each other. And those are the first Monday of every month. We meet and we talk about the things that everyone is trying to accomplish. Not everyone, 4 people are trying to accomplish. They tell us what they're trying to accomplish. I share some ideas. Maybe some of the people in the meeting also share some ideas. The ideas they're going to come back the next time we meet and tell us how they've actually been able to accomplish it. So it's really, truly planning and accountability meetings. There is a retreat that we're planning in July of 2024. So, just join the membership at readysetgoconsult.com/membership. And, but yeah, of course you can find out much more when you go to the website. But yeah, I'm glad we had this, this time, because Yo Astro done gave me an idea. And it sounds like I helped validate his approach. So yeah, Yo Astro, go for it, man. So to answer your question, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you guys for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Enjoyed. I'm glad I'm back after my 1 week break. And I am, I'll be back next week talking about some more things as it relates to having a consulting business. I'm actually thinking about talking about the 6 to 7 books that helped me grow my business as quickly as it did. And these are not all business books. That is actually what I think I'm going to be discussing. I've already given some thought to the next 5 topics, and that's the next one coming up. So be on the lookout for that information. All right. All righty. Thank you so much. You take care. I'm going to be using to do most of the build out. That's the smart thing. Hey, yeah, a lot of e-learning specialists probably aren't going to be happy to hear that, but that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do, especially when you do the beta. Is that what you're thinking about, the beta? For the beta? Especially for the beta, go ahead and use that AI, and maybe even for the final thing. There we go. See, we're on the same page. I love it. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you coming and joining me, and how we learn and grow daily. I hope I answered your question, and bring some other questions you may have next week when we talk about those books, because when you have a business that many of you probably already aware, keeping those books, keeping yourself encouraged, keeping that self-improvement going, whatever it is you need to work on to keep yourself motivated and moving forward, that's what you have to do. I don't care if it's audiobooks. I don't care if it's actual paper books, which is what I still love. Whatever it is you need to do, I don't care if it's prayer, affirmations, yoga, whatever, you got to do something to keep you focused and keep you moving forward so you can actually reach your goals. All right. So it's nice chatting with y'all tonight. I will see y'all next week. Bye.